Hi, KMS. This is the second part of day 4's Teach Me directions. So we did in the last part, we made a coding tree for when I get the correct answer. We used a forever loop. Within that forever loop, we had this section of code where we're repeating a portion and then we're switching back to the regular costume. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another code tree for the wrong answer. I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to duplicate it and put it under there. I don't want to have the same for the right and the wrong answer occurring. So instead of just going to my next costume, perhaps I throw that portion away and then I can go under there and I can switch to something else. So perhaps I change color effect. And this repeat would happen if I multiply these two numbers together. So this would take 3 seconds to occur. After that, I'm going to switch back to that regular costume and I want to say clear graphic effect as well. So any effect that's on there, it's going to go away. So I added that section here. This is the wrong answer code. I'm going to broadcast this and I'm going to wait 3 seconds. So this is the section of code that I'm going to take and I'm going to add to all of my coding trees where I ask a question and under the else part. So if you get it wrong, it's going to show that you're wrong. It's going to change its color for 3 seconds in this case, and then it's going to ask the question again. So what I did is I cleaned up my blocks. I no longer need this, so I'm just going to throw it away. And if I zoom out, you can see your codes. Once you clean up your blocks, they're all stacked nicely. I ran this code and I made sure that it worked, so I save it. And now I'm going to add a section to actually end the game, or end the project rather. So let me zoom in here. Question 5, I'm going to end the game by broadcasting end here. So after my 5th question, I'm going to stop the game by broadcasting end. I'm going to add, under events, something that says when I receive end. What do you want to happen at the end of your animation, the end of your project? So I'm going to say, thanks for taking the quiz. You could say, I hope you had a fun time. And maybe in this section, maybe my robot always says it from right here. So you can add other things like, hey, you know what? At the end, I want you to go to that position. And then I hope you enjoyed it. I want him to speed off into space. So perhaps he glides up. So I would change my glide to a Y that's a really large number, something like 400. And then it will zoom up on the screen. By having this go to here, it's going to make sure that it starts there. What you may want to add is if you have not done so, make sure in your code someplace when you first start off, when you first hit the green flag, it's going from someplace and it's gliding to another. So that way your robot is always on the screen. So this code right here, all the way at the end, this is what will happen when I end my animation. You can add on to this as much as you like. You can also add something under your stage. So perhaps you have it changing to a certain backdrop, whether you click the green flag, or perhaps you have a new backdrop when you receive that ending message. Because remember, these messages can be received by any sprite or anything could happen on your stage. They just have to have 2 different ones. So on my backdrop here, I could actually, perhaps I have them changing to a new backdrop. So where would you go after you took a quiz? I would go on to a castle for sure, right? So maybe they start off there or they end there. So what I can do is I'm going to save this. I'm going to share this and I'm going to also add it to the studio. Tomorrow for Friday, we'll add this onto your tech portfolio and then you can share out and play other people's quizzes. So let's see what your ending quiz would look like. You notice how it starts on that certain backdrop? It introduces itself and it asks your name. The user types its name in, and then it goes through and it's going to ask all the questions. If you get a question wrong, it's going to say, sorry, something happens to it, and then it's going to ask you again. If the question is correct, it's going to say, yes, have an animation for being correct, and then go back to asking you questions. So you can go through and test your quiz, and hopefully you get the answers correct, but also test it out to make sure that when it doesn't work, that something says wrong, and then it asks you the same question again. So now I'm going to go through and answer all my questions just to test my entire code. It says, thanks for taking my quiz. I hope you enjoyed it. And it zooms off. Cool. What never happened though is my background didn't change. So I have to go back. Oh, I never coded it to. So make sure that you actually write the code that you intended to write. That's pretty funny. So now my code should work. I'm going to save it. I'm going to share it out, and I'm going to, tomorrow I'll post it on my portfolio page. All right, guys, that was awesome. We did a third Scratch project. So now you have a greeting card, an interactive game, and a quiz. Great job coding, folks.